Hey, welcome to Talking Hawks, the biggest, the greatest, the most amazing Hawthorn fan base live stream on the planet. Welcome, Maddie and Rhys. How are you, fellas?
Going well, mates. Good after a win.
Yes, always feel good. Feels good to beat Collingwood. It was fairly non-eventful game other than the win.
Yeah, well, look, the Bunnies, they know their role. That's okay.
Yeah.
Next game. But tonight's an exciting one.
It's true. Now, we've got a very exciting and special guest tonight who's somebody who's very close to our hearts. He's actually got one of the most inspirational stories associated with Hawthorn, and I'm really enjoying this guest that we've got because I'm looking forward to unpacking his life and his journey and how he actually made it into the team. Because I think it's a story for everyone to hear, particularly those who want to achieve something great in their lives. Mirra or David Mirra is that person in particular. So looking forward to that.
We're going to welcome him. Here we go.
Why not, Matt? Let's introduce David Mirra.
Welcome, mate.
There he is.
Guys. You got me?
Yes.
Yeah, mate, we got you.
Yep.
How are we?
Hopefully we didn't blow your tyres up too much there, mate.
Thanks for that introduction. It's a funny one when you were talking about my journey to AFL, and you sent me a link to this live stream, and it came through junk, and I was looking through my junk folder, and I actually come across a draft message that I sent to a Fremantle recruiter back in 2015. I just saw it just as I was logging onto this link, and he was saying that he wanted me to go down to his testing day that he had at MSAC, and I pretty much told him I've been through it before. Don't email me unless you're genuinely interested in drafting me. So it was actually quite funny to go down memory lane a little bit and see that, and think of how hard it was to actually get to play AFL footy. But good memories.
Mate, but 155 senior games with Box Hill Hawks, 2010 to 2019, 4 seasons as captain from 14 to 17. Correct me on any of these stats that I'm wrong. But 5th equal highest in games played for Box Hill, who we all love, the Box Hill Hawks. So 78 games as captain, which is a club record. 2 VFL premierships. You were the best on ground in the 18 grand final. Captain in 2013, 2-time Box Hill best and fairest, 2016, 2019, 4 times runner up, if you don't mind. So you're just up and about with all of the, you were owning that level. 3-time VFL state representative, 4-time VFL team of the year, 11 games with the Hawks through 18 and 19 and a semi-final appearance, mate. It's a nice little resume, even though you told Fremantle, no thanks.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for reading out those accolades. I could listen to them all night. So we might just finish on that one, and I can go.
We'll send you the replay.
I had an absolute ball at Box Hill, and to finally get an opportunity to play AFL footy with the Hawks was a dream come true. It's always something that I wanted to do. But even if I didn't achieve it, I had such a great time, leaving Eastern Ranges and starting with Box Hill. I wouldn't change anything. So the people I met, the players that I played with, the coaches, the staff, president, right through to trainers, it was a fantastic time. So, really grateful for my time at Box Hill.
David, I look at your career and how inspirational it is, and a lot of people or young men don't realise how difficult it actually is to get on an AFL list. And there must have been a time for you in your career where you felt, this has passed me by. I'm just going to potentially just settle for being great at VFL. What was it in you that kept you going all those years and persisting?
For me, I went to 3 draft combines in a row. So that was 2009, 10, 11.
So you would have been 18, 19, 20?
Yeah, so I was 18 in 2009 playing with the Eastern Ranges.
Yeah.
And that year I was playing on the wing. I'd spoken to a number of clubs. All indications was, to be honest, that I'd be either late draft or rookie draft.
Yeah.
I remember speaking to Sydney We went to there was a hotel in the city, must have been where they were staying. And, we walked in and had the conversation with them, and they sort of said to me, okay, well, what are you going to run in the beep test at the combine? And I turned around and I was playing, on the wing, and you need to be pretty good to be playing on the wing with your aerobic capacity. And I turned around and said, probably a 14.5, I reckon. And I went to the combine and I ran a 12.4.
Oh,
so I was well below par and what the
Did
average.
you just miss the line, or did you tap out?
I think I had slippery shoes on. I should have upgraded my runners and get a bit more grip. So that was quite a poor performance, and I think that actually set me back a little bit. And then I got pigeonholed as someone that had no endurance and couldn't really run. And when I got to Box Hill and did pre-season, I was doing pre-season with guys like Ed Curnow and Sam Gibson, these guys who are endurance freaks. And I remember getting to Box Hill and going, I am absolutely nowhere. What am I going to do? I want to play AFL footy, but, I'm coming last in the running and these guys are lapping me. And they're not even in the AFL yet. So it's a bit of a reality check. But, then it was, so that was 2010, and I got drafted in 2017. So it was a long time. And it was probably at the end of 2017 where I was actually thinking about giving the idea and the dream of playing AFL footy away and transitioning and playing local footy and just focusing on work. And it wasn't until Graham Wright called me out of the blue and, said, we're thinking about drafting you. And I was like, wow, okay, this is serious. Like I'd had interest in the past from clubs, like I just mentioned with Fremantle, clubs that would just check in and see how I was going and, maybe a little bit of token interest. But this was the first time genuinely that, a club said, look, we're genuinely thinking about taking you. So that was a bit of a shock. But yeah, it's...
Well, you mentioned before the show that you thought that righty phone call was to get your opinion on maybe another player or two.
Yeah, that's what I initially thought it was. And that wasn't uncommon for me. Being captain of the team, I would often get a recruiter or a manager or someone like that would call me and say, what's this guy like around the club? Is he a good bloke? Does he fit in? Does he talk to black people? Does he, what's his character like? So when Righty called me, initially I was thinking that it was going to be about, we had a young fella, Anthony Brolick, who played in the premiership with us, who was dominating at the time. I thought it was going to be about him and, asking, what's his character like? But no, it was, we're going to draft you and this is what's going to happen and this is how it's going to go down and let's meet. Are you free tomorrow? And I'm going, wow, okay. Let's get going. So
David, what kept you going through those periods? What was it that made you persevere?
Well, the hope was always there. I always wanted to play AFL footy, so that's what kept me going. But to consistently keep performing at VFL level, to be honest, was being captain of the footy club and just loving Box Hill and being around a really good group of guys and wanting to give my all to them. And so the focus for me actually shifted from an individual perspective around, what have I got to do to get picked up to what do I have to do to make this team win, to play in premierships. And I tasted success in 2013 when we won a VFL flag. Then we lost 2 in a row in 14 and 15. So my drive was to get back to the VFL grand final and win one again. So that's what kept me going from a playing perspective. And it probably helped my footy because I wasn't concentrating on me. I was, am I living the cultural standards and expectations and behaviours that we accept as a group of players? That's what drove me to be consistent. And the outcome was then a phone call from Righty to say that we're going to pick you up. I always harboured that hope, but I sort of put it to the side and just focused on my teammates and my footy club and what I could do to, win a flag again. That was my main drive.
Amazing. What made Box Hill such a special place to be?
It's just the connection between the Hawthorn Football Club and Box Hill. It's a really, really strong alignment. Probably the best in the VFL. And Hawthorn, throughout my time there, really tipped into the football club and invested quite heavily. They understood that to get some high quality players playing at AFL level, that they needed some solid grounding at the level below. Guys like Taylor Giray, who went on and played in 2 premierships in 14 and 15. He started off in the VFL reserves, and had to work his way through. So it wasn't like AFL boys were just gifted a game. They actually had to earn their stripes. And they would train with Box Hill. We would go to functions together. So it was a really united place. And both clubs, were really invested in the alignment. So that's what made it work compared to other clubs that didn't survive their alignments.
So when you say they invested into Box Hill, how did they invest?
Well, they invested in their coaches. So, for example, when I started, it was Box Hill coaches, but then it changed. So it was the Hawthorn development coaches were then coming down to training and, speaking to us as Box Hill players, but also the Hawthorn players that were down there. Guys like Marco Bello, Max Bailey, Chris Newman, Damien Carroll, all these coaches were full-time at Hawthorn, but also tipping in at Box Hill. So we had access to the best coaches.
Excellent.
And then it was, okay, well, how can we get the playing group together? So, the Hawthorn guys who were at Box Hill would come down on a Friday night and train together. They'd often be at games. They'd try and merge 6 or 7 Box Hill listed boys and put them in an intra-club, throughout the week. I played in many of those intra-club games to the point where Damien Carroll actually put a highlights package together of my 50th intra-club game for Hawthorn. That was pretty funny.
And was it like a 45-minute highlight reel?
I wish it had gone for that long. I think it was a highlight reel of Buddy taking a hanger on me, then dobber one from 50. No, it was just a bit of fun that DC liked to stir the pot a bit. But and then also from the board perspective as well. Hawthorn, I think, might be wrong, had 3 or 4 board members that were Hawthorn, as well as Box Hill. So when you talk about an alignment working from top to toe, there were all these things in place to make sure that it was successful. As well as, playing a high standard of footy was really important for these guys to develop them to play senior footy. That's where, as I said to you, Matt, Footscray were really successful. They won the premiership in 2014 in the VFL and went on to then, majority of those players played in their 2016 AFL flag. So it gives them important grounding.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, we might open up to some of the fans. Drop some of your best questions for Dave around his Box Hill era, but we might just take you right back if we can. Who did you support as a kid?
Yeah, I was a mad Essendon supporter. So the rivals there. Sorry about that, guys.
You had that look about you, mate. We figured it.
Yeah.
How do you feel now when the Dons get up? Did you get the brown and gold in your blood?
Yeah, it's brown and gold now. Yeah. I don't harbour any feelings towards Essendon, unfortunately. Sorry, Dad. Dad's still mad Essendon, even though I played for Hawthorn. Look, I just remember going to the MCG and, seeing Matty Lloyd, Dustin Fletcher, Sean Wellman, all these guys, Mark Johnson. Paul Salmon. No, he was just before my time.
Fair enough.
Big fish, but
I'll let him know that.
It was good times.
Who was your footy idol growing up?
Footy idol was James Hird. You had to love James Hird. He was the one. But I also had a weird one for Justin Blumfield. I don't know why, but I just enjoyed the way he was a silky mover, could use the ball well, got on chains. Weird one, but yeah, I enjoyed the way he went about it.
Yep. No, brilliant. Excellent. So, and then as we go into sort of your Box Hill days, just a question for you, because you've obviously looked to take on that leadership, the character, to model it. How do you think your teammates would describe you as a leader?
I think they would say that I didn't ask them to do anything I wouldn't do myself. I'm very competitive and driven and actions based. Like if I'm going to say something to the group, I want to have perform that or put it in action as well. I'm not someone who just talks for the sake of it. There's genuine meaning behind it. I'd like to think that they said that, I played for them and, would always action, I guess, what I'm saying and bringing to the table.
Good one.
Amazing. Because Box Hill and Hawthorn were so dominant throughout that 2010s period, who do you reckon is a teammate that either Hawthorn didn't get to see enough of because perhaps we had so many champions in that side, or maybe a player that didn't make it to the AFL that you're surprised didn't?
One player that that dominated VFL footy that I was in awe of when I was playing with him, and I wanted to be like him so badly, was Kyle Cheney.
Yeah.
Fair income.
I remember sitting on the bench one day and he was just taking these intercept grabs, and I just remember sitting with a bloke and I said, this guy's the best player in the competition, like hands down. And we just sat there and agreed. And he was someone that I think should have got more opportunity, but just because of the way that the AFL team was, it was just so hard to get in. But I admired the way that he went about it. He was tough, hard, didn't fear anyone. But not only that, his character off the field, the way that he could make people laugh and just get around everyone was really special as well. So he's someone that I look back that I was really privileged to play with, and I modelled my game on the way he went about it.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, I'd love to unpack that a little more, mate.
Kyle Cheney, too much.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when he went to Adelaide and he left us, and I thought, oh, good on him because, he'll get more games and he's definitely a respected player in the team. But I never felt that he was somebody that was elite or stood out. He was just sort of more one of the better 23rd players, if you know what I mean. And so that's fascinating to hear you say that. Like, do you feel that if he had more of a chance and strung more games together in a row, that he would have fit into the 22?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Because, look, I've been in that position. It's really difficult when you're on the fringes to get any sort of confidence. You're neither here or there. You know what I mean? Like when you come in, you feel as if you're just holding a spot, and so therefore, you're out the next week if somebody else comes back in. Yeah. But I have no doubt that if Kyle had have had an extended run at it, I think, and he did, I reckon, in maybe 2014 or 15, he did have a bit of an extended run. But again, you've got these weapons in the back line, Lake, Gibson, Birchall, Burgoyne, just
names.
Spoiled for riches.
Yeah.
But
you're going to drop, right?
Yeah, like I just remember at Box just laughing he took the piss, so it was really good to watch.
Unreal. Oh, that's a great insight, mate. Thank you.
Question from Stephen Camilleri. Who's Boca first?
Yeah, Boca Cheney. Yeah, Boca Cheney.
Okay, yes.
Boca Cheney.
Yeah. Or the other one we gave him was Fettuccine.
Yeah,
that is gold.
You got to keep the laughs going, mate. That's good. This is a good one from Brooke. What was it like seeing a senior listed player drop back to Box Hill? And I guess you, as a leader of the club for many of the years, how did you get around them?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And in my time when I was not Hawthorn listed, I reckon I played with every single player on the list except for Buddy and Birchall. So, that includes Cyril, who played in the 14 grand final. That includes Hodgie. That includes maybe not Sam Mitchell. Ruffy definitely came down for a couple of games. So we had a lot of experience coming back, whether it was them coming back from injury or whatever it was. I played with Hodgie probably 4 or 5 times and learned a hell of a lot from him and the way he went about it. We had Brad Sewell, as I said, Ruffy, so a lot of experience. I didn't go and hassle them or pick their brain 24/7 or hang around with them too much. I just watched and observed, but what they would do for the group was just invaluable. Just little things that would pick you up. You know, you'd be feeling flat in the game and you'd be like, geez, we're not going to come back in this. And they'd say something, you'd be like, yeah, we're coming back. Like, yes, rally behind them. And, you know, we had Chance Bateman one year in 2012. I remember semi-final against Geelong, young group. We lost the game, but the way he performed in that last quarter and really stood up, you know, taught me a lesson about leadership. And, you know, I mentioned before about actions-based. What I saw that day and how he performed was something that I remembered, and it's nothing really special about it. It's just doing the basics consistently well, and I think that's what Sean Burgoyne's been able to do in his career over 400 games. Yes, he's done some really special things, no doubt about it. But the thing that's kept him consistent week in, week out is just the basics and doing them really well. You know, in games, it's just reliable things. It's not trying to be the fancy one. So that's what we were able to learn down at Box Hill.
See, I always thought Burgoyne's secret to success was that he avoided training at all costs.
Yeah. That's another one. I tried to do that, but then I started to balloon, so I thought I better run myself back here, get back to training. I don't know how he does it. He's unbelievable. There was a story. Jack Russell told this story when I was at Hawthorn, that when Sean Burgoyne did his syndesmosis, remember 2012? It might have been the grand final or something around that. And so he had the whole off-season. He wasn't able to run. So running in the off-season is one of the most important things that you can do to set yourself up for the next year. And apparently Sean was so worried about putting on weight that he just ate soup for like 10 weeks in a row or something like that, just to make sure that he kept his weight in check. Like, I could not believe it when I heard that. If that was me, if I was out for 10 weeks, not being able to run, I'd come back at least 10 kilos heavier. Starting behind the 8 ball, I wouldn't be able to have it in me to not eat the pasta that my wife cooks and nonna makes with the cotolette. So, yeah, that's an incredible story.
Excellent, mate. Hey, David, I'm really curious, mate. What is in your mind? What is the difference between AFL and VFL?
Yeah, that's a great question. AFL is a lot more damaging game. So when I say damaging, I mean, you know, if you cause a turnover in your back half, there is every chance that that's coming back with interest and it's coming back quick. VFL, you cause a turnover, you could sort of get away with it here and there because maybe the skill level's not as strong. There's a little bit, you know, there's more packs, a bit more fumbly, there's younger kids playing as well in the VFL. So you got a lot of guys who are 18 to 22 that are just learning their craft and understanding what it takes to be a player. But at AFL level, at the real top end, you know, and having played finals in the AFL, like I played that semi-final we lost to Melbourne. Like I just remember turnovers, they're going straight over your head and it's damaging. So it's cleaner, it's quicker. I wouldn't say it's necessarily any more stronger or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think in the VFL, maybe it's to do with the grounds that you play on. I felt after playing an AFL game, my legs were more fatigued, but I felt playing a VFL game that my body was more like I'd taken more hits. There were more stoppages, you know, players crashing in, whereas AFL, they're clean, you know, their hands are out, they're setting players up. You know, it's not as fumbly, so you're not crashing and bashing as much. And you can sort of see it if you watch it on the TV. There's a lot more congestion in a VFL game to what there is in an AFL game. And the other thing is, at the AFL level, the players know each other's game so well, you know, because they've been practicing it since November, but also, you know, it could be 5-10 years they've been together. Whereas in a VFL system, there's a lot of turnover. So you're constantly trying to work out your teammates and who they are, and your list can change dramatically in 1 year. You know, whereas you come up against Geelong, for example, you know, like Hawkins, Selwood, Dangerfield, these guys have played together for an extended period of time. They know their games, you know, they're clean. And I think that's the difference. Whereas in the VFL, you could come up against a different team. Like you could play Geelong in round 1 in the VFL, and it could be a completely different team to round 22 in the VFL. So yeah, that's the difference.
Brilliant.
So do you feel that?
Sorry,
jump in.
Go on,
Go, Rhys.
Rhys.
Looks like we've got a delay. All right, I'll go. So,
Go, Brad.
David, do you think that there's players that dominate in the VFL but just aren't cut out for the AFL? And if so, what do you think that is?
Oh, yeah, it's a funny one. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think if you can dominate VFL, there's always a spot for you on an AFL list. There are a number of guys right now running around in the VFL that are better than players on an AFL list. I think it's what the clubs look at and what coaches look at is how transferable their skill set is to the AFL. Because, yes, you can dominate the VFL, but is the midfield you're playing against, are they all sort of 18 to 22-year-olds? It's just a different dynamic. And then you're coming up against, an AFL season midfield where it's Shuey, Gaff, you know what I'm saying? Like Kelly. Like it's just a different. Does your skill set stack up at the next level? Do you have the speed that's required? Or the versatility to play in multiple positions. If something goes wrong throughout the game, can we shuffle you around? There are small forwards that dominate the VFL, but can they go through the midfield in the AFL team? Or but as a general rule, I think that if you can dominate VFL level, then by all means, absolutely, you can play AFL footy. And really, all you need is that chance. All you need is that club to just go, we think that guy can work. Like Mick Gibbons, for example, who dominated Williamstown. He won 2 listings, rejected multiple times, has now come in and, he's played the last 2 or 3 years consistently with Carlton. You see it a number of times where guys come in and do it straight. John Newcomb this year is a perfect example of that. Just transfers it straight into the AFL team. First game, breaks the record for tackles for a first gamer. There's always that chance. It's just a matter of if the club can take a punt on you. And I'd love to see it a lot more.
Like I watch Jekka, for example, and he just absolutely dominates in the VFL, but he's just not cutting the mustard right now in the AFL, right? He seems a bit lost. Someone like Jekka, what are your thoughts on him? Is it mental? Because I don't think it's physical.
There are a number of elements, right? Like Jekka can come in and all of a sudden he's playing in a forward line with Mitchell, Lewis and Cozzy.
Yeah.
And it's a different time. Whereas at Box Hill, he's the kingpin, it's get it into him. He's the main dog. Here I am.
Yeah.
And then it's understanding the dynamics of the team and how, the way the AFL team moves the ball is different to how the VFL team moves the ball. There's different left foot kick, right foot kick. There's all sorts of different elements to get it right. And he's just finding his feet at the moment and understanding what it takes. And if it's, getting another pre-season into him and sitting down with the coaches and nutting out, what his strength is, he'll work it out as he's going. But, like in the VFL, you probably look at it and go, well, he's coming up against another young bloke who's finding his way on the list. And, he can hold his own and maybe he's strong, but in the AFL team, maybe he's not as strong because he's coming up against a seasoned key back who knows his craft, who knows how to do all the little intricate things like push him under the ball, playing front, work with his teammates. He could have someone, a defender at AFL level, who's just so in sync with their back six. They know exactly what's happening when the ball's coming. They know where to position themselves. Whereas at VFL level, they're still working that out and they don't quite understand it. So they can get off the leash a bit. But no doubt about it, if he's kicking big bags at VFL level now, and I've watched him play, he could be a serious talent in the AFL team. And it just takes time. It takes confidence. Mitchy Lewis is still going through it at the moment. He's still trying to find his feet. Cozzy's the same. It takes years. Not everyone's going to be a Buddy and Ruffy where they're going to come in and, kick 100 goals in their second or third season. And the game's changed for key forwards too. So
yeah,
just you're trying to find little things here and there with him, consistent patches where he's putting together the package. So that's, it might have to be chasing. It might just have to be bringing the ball to ground, creating a contest, not being outmarked. And then it's kicking a couple of goals as well. So there's a couple of things to look out.
Yeah, brilliant. Sorry to cut you off there. You talked about John Newcomb and starting off, but mate, this fella, this is your debut, round 4 in the middle. Mate,
look at that spring chicken, eh?
Your first game, you've chalked up, what was it? It was 12 1%ers. Your kicking efficiency, or your possession efficiency, was very good at AFL level, but then you've backed that up not too long later against the Swans. You missed the 1%. I think you've got 11. You got 11 1%ers that game.
Yeah, right. I didn't even know that, to be honest. I might have seen that in the rooms after the game, but I guess that just.
Come on, Dave, you've got to do a little head wobble, mate.
Yeah, well, it comes with the position of being a defender, doesn't it? Actually, the one against Sydney, I remember it was round 23. We had to win to get in the top 4. Ball come in, and I've done this double fister, and it's gone like 20, 30 metres the other way. And I was pretty happy with it. And then I got in the rooms, and I'm talking with Adam Uza, and he goes, mate, why didn't you just mark the thing? I was like, I don't know. I just double fisted it.
But you've come through with some amazing guys, though. So just looking at your, is that showing up here?
Yep.
Here we go. Hey, look at these boys today.
CJ.
You mentioned you're close to some of these boys that have come through, but let me just throw something at you and look at the size you compared to some of those lads. But anyway, Giant and Warple, at the end of their career, if you had to guess now, who's going to poll more Brownlow votes out of those two?
That's a really good question. It's a tough one.
Well, it is a midfielder's,
and that's where I'm heading towards, isn't it? Like, that's what's happened. But don't get me wrong, CJ stands out, doesn't he? He's just,
I love him,
incredible. And
we almost need to bring Bruce McAvaney back in just for CJ, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, to see
Isn't
how
that delicious?
I just feel like a proud parent. Like, I remember the day when he came to the back line when he was only 19 or 20 and he's learning his craft, and I was trying to direct him and teach him where to go and, show a bit of leadership and to see where he was there, to see where he is now. It's incredible, but it also doesn't surprise me because he's such a wonderful kid and he's so determined, and he's just such a level-headed guy that he's got big things ahead of him, and just his athleticism and the way he's built his body, his running capacity, unbelievable, winning the 2K time trial. Sky's the limit for this guy. Like, we have not even seen the start of what he's capable of. All he's got to do is put it together consistently now, and there are big, big things coming. And Warps was day one. Like, his professionalism for a young bloke was probably the best I've seen. So it doesn't surprise me that he was able to win a best and fairest in his second year and been able to go on with it. He's going to be a serious player. And, once he starts to really feel comfortable, I think he's still working through it a bit in terms of where he sits in the whole competition. Once he starts to realise that he's a really good player, he could take his game to a whole nother level. So really exciting, and I'll be watching on with keen eyes.
Can he captain the club, do you think, David?
Yep. Absolutely.
That's the biggest endorsement we've had so far.
Yeah. And I hope he does. Like, he's already in the leadership group, and I think it's just a matter of time. The way he goes about it amongst his peers is amazing. I mean, I think he was captain of Geelong Falcons, and I'm pretty sure they won the flag that year. So he's got that pedigree, and from what I saw in him, his competitive drive and the way he brings blokes along with him, no doubt about it, in my eyes, he could be captain of the footy club.
Love it. Now, David, we've got a few things we want to get through here, but I'd love you to walk us through your very first AFL game for Hawthorn. Tell us the feelings that you had at the time, and what was going through your mind at that game.
Yeah. For me, it was just like it was a culmination of a career. Like, it was just it was like I said to myself, this is 2 hours where you can just go out and just have fun. Who cares? Don't worry about how you play, what's going on. Just celebrate it. Celebrate it for all the hard work that you've put in. Celebrate it for all the times you've been rejected. Celebrate it for the people that it helped you along the way. So it was actually like I had some nerves, right? But I didn't have those pre-game nerves that I would usually have. I was actually just so excited and so pumped to be out there, running out onto the MCG, against Melbourne. It was perfect. Only a year before that, I was working at New Balance, and Melbourne was my key account. So, I'd worked closely with their staff. So it was actually perfect to come up against Melbourne. Mate, it was an incredible day, and we'd started off pretty slow, and then we'd come back, and I think we won by 60 points.
Yeah.
The feeling when the siren went, it was just unbelievable.
Was there a moment in that game where you felt, yes, I belong here?
No, I don't think I felt, yes, I belong, but I was happy with how I was playing and performing. I was contributing, and I'd had a real crack, and I'd given it my all that day. But I also understood that there was a long way to go, and this was just the first step. It's funny because you talk about you spoke before about the difference between AFL and VFL. On that day, I didn't think there was any difference. Everything just seemed to fall into place, and it was just really special moment. Walking off the field as well, I had my whole family in the rooms with me. We took a photo, and just a really, really special day. And then we went back to my place afterwards and had pizzas and drinks, and we celebrated it properly.
Well done.
And
put on 10 kilos.
Stewie
Jew would have been proud.
They said, we got to go after the game. They said, we got to go down to the Richmond pools to do some recovery. And I was spewing because all I wanted to do was just go back and crack open that first beer and have a really good night and celebrate hard, because it was such a long journey to get to that moment. But I was so overwhelmed as well because I'd received that many messages during the week. My phone just went off. It was crazy. I couldn't keep up. And, the club had done a couple of videos that week in celebration, and Max Bailey had narrated a video, and that was really special. Damien Carroll presented my jumper, which was also really special because he coached Box Hill to my first premiership. That's the thing. Like when I spoke before about, Box Hill as a footy club, all the guys who were there at Box Hill, I'm talking about even the strength and conditioning guys like Sean Murphy, Marco Bello, Damien Carroll, Chris Newman, Max Bailey. There were all these guys that I'd been with along the journey at Box Hill who were now at Hawthorn, who were there when I received my first jumper, who were there when I played my first game. I remember Brendan Whitecross was in the rooms. He didn't play that game, gave me a massive hug. Like, these are the special moments that I remember, and I'll forever hold that moment. It was almost like if I never play another game ever again, I'm happy.
Awesome.
Yeah, amazing.
One game was just all I wanted to do. Look, to chalk out 11, I'm happy with. I would have loved to have played more. No doubt about it. I was disappointed when I got delisted. But to just have that one game out on the MCG, playing AFL footy, I can now tick that box.
Awesome. Well, Rick Ladson has some nice words to say about you, mate. One of the best on and off the ground. So very nice here, Rick.
Laddo. Yeah, Laddo's a ripper. We played together and we talk about leadership, and you talk about guys who take you along the journey, and the guys that come back and play at Box Hill, those senior heads that I spoke about. Laddo was one of them, and I think I played with him in 2011, 2012, 2010 maybe. He was just one of those guys that brought you along with him, and he was an actions first guy out on the field, but then he would put your arm around you and make sure that you're okay. So he was a ripper. And when you have guys like that, you just love to be part of it. Like, you just want to be at the footy club. And you just want to build something. And so, yeah, it's really special.
Excellent. Now, David, we there's this thing that we do with any of our guests. It's called the shot clock. So, Matty, I'm going to hand it over to you, mate, to run through these quick questions for you, Dave. Hope you're ready for it, mate.
I'm not good at these ones. I'll try my best.
That's all right. So, key to this, first thing that comes to mind, keep it short and sharp. One word, one sentence. All righty, David Mirra, you're on the shot clock. Your hardest opponent at VFL level?
See, I'm not good at these. Hardest opponent. The hardest opponent I had was Ahmed Saad.
Okay. Which opponent was the best trash talker?
At VFL level or AFL level?
You can call it.
AFL level was, can I give you a little story? Is that okay?
Come back to it at the end.
Jack Rewalt.
All right. First word that comes to mind when I say Sam Mitchell.
Intelligent.
Describe Clarko in a word.
Nutcase.
In terms of your teammates, the most annoying?
Vince Aducci, Box Hill.
I love him. Funniest?
Xavier Damasi.
Worst trainer?
Xavier Damasi.
Well, you got to get away with it somehow if he's funny. What attribute would have helped you more, height or speed?
Height.
Okay. Game day, you socks up or socks down?
Down.
You're going into grand final, you've got the toss, are your heads or tails?
I was tails.
And you flip it. Doesn't matter? He's superstitious?
Yeah. So what did you say? So I've got to flip the coin?
Doesn't matter. All good. Too long. Mate, thank you very much. Very good, just short and sharp. So, boys, come back. And we had a good question from Jake Smith, and a few of the other fans have chimed in along these lines. There's interest to know whether you'd be keen to pursue a career in coaching. And Jake Smith said he thinks you're exactly the type of person that Box Hill would, to have you back in the fold. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I've seriously considered coaching, particularly over the last couple of years. It's something that I do want to get involved with, and I've started to put some things in place. I've actually got a journal that I've kept throughout my career of things that I like, don't like, sayings, articles, documentaries, things of this nature, where I'll start to build my philosophy and I guess how I want to go about it. Things that I've also learnt off coaches that I've had. So it's definitely something that I see myself transitioning into. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. That's exciting.
Um,
Now, Mirza, can you take us back to that story you were going to tell?
It was so random. It's probably not even that funny, but it was just we're playing a NAB Cup game down in Tassie. And we talk about trash talkers, and I've run on the ground. It's like the last quarter. I'm only playing the last quarter, and I run on, and I go to my opponent, and Jack Rewalt was standing about 5 meters away, and he just turns to me and just goes, "Thought you were taller than that." And I was just like,
"What are you supposed to respond with?"
I was like, well, what do you expect of me? Like, I didn't know how to respond to that, so that had me rattled. Like that was the most bizarre one that I've come across, where it was, yeah.
That's a good one.
There's another good story. You were talking with Isaac. So this is right towards the tail end of your career, heading into the Big Easter Hawks versus Geelong game in 2019. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is a funny one. So this is Easter Monday, and before the game, we were talking in the rooms. I think it might have been in the footy record. There was a photo of a hanger or something like that, and we're talking about, would you be happy to take the mark of the century, but when you came down, you broke your leg or your hip or something like that, and you were never able to ever play again? Would you take that? And I said, 100% I would take that. At least I'd be remembered for something. I'd be in the pubs or, whatever. They'd show it on AFL highlights and all that sort of stuff for years to come. It'd be amazing. Heck, I'd even be the stepladder. At least I'll get my face on something. And then sure enough, that game, Gazza Jr. takes a hang on my back. And it was massive. And the next day, on the Tuesday, I'm reading the paper, went down the local cafe. It was on the front page and the back page of him taking a hanger on me. Everyone still gives me a fair bit of stick about that one.
Careful what you wish for,
because you're a good bloke, and we did ask your permission, just for those that.
There it is.
Oh, that's the one.
There's an American guy in the background. I know you see the American guy standing up with his fists in the air. It got put on ESPN because it was that guy's first game of AFL footy. So there it is.
You're a good sport. Conscious of time, I know you've got many stories you could mention. What would be just one of your what's your most memorable football memory?
My most memorable, the grand finals are really hard to beat. Both 2013 and 2018, both really special moments. My debut match, obviously, was really special to me. Playing a semi-final in front of 95,000 against Melbourne at the MCG, something that you never forget. The roar of the crowd was incredible. I remember sitting on the bench at the start of that game, absolutely shitting my dacks going, I do not want to come on right now, because it was just mental. But then, a massive highlight is also just the people that you meet and the relationships that you form, being lifelong friends with a lot of these guys who, we can catch up and have a beer with. I caught up with a really close mate of mine yesterday, Liam Tobin, who also played at Box Hill for a number of years, and we had a kick of the footy. So, Kalen Post, who I'm playing at Collegians with right now, who's a really close mate of mine. Those things are really special and memorable.
Love it. Now, David, I've got one last question for you, mate. Has your phone been going off the hook with Geelong trying to recruit you now that you're in your 30s?
Actually, they have been. You let the cats a real good grab from you. So, the older I get, the more likely I am to get down to Geelong.
You're just in that sweet spot now, mate.
Yeah, they keep telling the kids that next year's their year, but they keep on recruiting all these old blokes. So these young blokes have got to maybe wake up and find another club to go to.
That's it, mate.
I'm just we will just do a few more quick ones. Who do you think might get alongside, or Sam Mitchell might consider inviting in to his assistant coaching group?
Oh, it's a good question. One I think you've got to keep, and one he has to hold close, is Chris Newman. Chris was my coach at Box Hill. He was just incredible. The way he was able to be personable with the players, build relationships. We did some awesome things. Like we went down to this local park. I can't remember exactly what it was. And we had these little bonfires around, and we would come up with our vulnerabilities and we would tell stories and what it would mean to us to win a premiership and what it would mean to play together as a group. Like those sort of things under Chris were unbelievable. So he's definitely one. You'd love to see Hodgie or someone like that get back to the footy club and coach under Mitch. Ruffy as well, I think, would be really good. He's starting to dominate down at St Kilda, so we don't want him to stay at St Kilda for too long. So maybe poach him across. So that get the old band back together. These are the ones that you want to see, I reckon.
Yeah, that's it.
Who should replace him at Box Hill? Oh, sorry, bro.
You're right.
Look, I'm not too sure, to be honest. There's a number of coaches down there. There's Aaron Cornelius, who's been there for a number of years now, that I think, might be the one to step up next. Clinton Proctor, I hear some good things about. Andy Collins is down there, so whether Andy Collins wants to take up that role as well. Who knows really what's going to happen there? I'm not too sure, but they're not going to be too short on coaches, I don't think, Box Hill.
You go one from Jarve. Did you ever cop a spray from Clarko?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Do tell us.
It wasn't a spray as such. It was against. It was in the team meeting after we played St Kilda in 2019. We'd lost that game. I actually jumped on the ball that cost us holding the ball. That they had a set shot in front and kicked the goal and won the game. But that wasn't the reason for spraying me. The reason was just my ball use and my kicking throughout that game wasn't up to scratch. So in the team meeting, he just played that vision just again and again and again and again, and just pretty much said, "Well, that's F and Y. You're not in the team." And I was just like, rightio, no worries. I know where I stand. So that's never nice when it's when you're in front of everyone. It's difficult to cop, but that was actually nothing compared to some that the other guys got. He can be quite good on the lip, Clarko. Oh yeah, there was one actually. This is a good story. Against Port Melbourne in 2013, I reckon. We're playing at home, and we're in the huddles. And this is a quarter time. We leave the huddles, and I'm walking towards the back line, and Clarko's going off at this Port Melbourne play. He's just going, "You effing this and you this," and I'm telling him, "What is going on here?" So little did I know, but in the first quarter, Sammy Isles got hit behind play.
Oof.
And Clarko went down there to remonstrate with the bloke that did it. And Chris Fagan's trying to pull him off the ground and, don't get out of here, Clarko, And I'm pretty sure he got fined, and it was on like Footy Classified and all that sort of stuff, and blew up. So that was a good one. There was one against Sandringham, round 1, 2012, where he wasn't even coaching Box Hill, but he got all the lads in there, goes, "Right, everyone in the corner, let's go." So we're all in the corner. And he gave us the biggest bake at halftime. He wasn't even coaching the team.
Club alignment right there.
We won that game. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we came back, but we were playing horrific. And it was Bo Mustin, actually, that copped the brunt of it. But, classic.
Wow. Well, mate, these days, what are you up to? And how's life treating you?
Yeah, so I'm working out at Wesley College, St Kilda Road. So Clarko's old stomping ground. So that's where he used to teach. So there's staff members there that remember Clarko and worked with Clarko when he was there. So that's quite interesting. So I'm campus head of sport there. This is my second year. Looking after years 7 to 12, working with the kids there, which is great. So sort of overseeing the whole program. So there's 21 sports I think we offer, but you probably find me more so at the footy. I tend to sneak down there a little bit more than the others, but that's going well. Still playing footy, playing locally, playing with the old boys there and the Ammos. We're having a bit of a difficult season. We're fighting relegation, but we beat Old Scotch last weekend, was, to be honest, in one of my top 5 wins I reckon I've ever had. It was just incredible. 3 goals down at 3/4 time against the team that we had to win, so at beat. So that was a great win. Ripping bunch of lads down there. So and then I've got.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Was that the game that you got your best on ground? Because this is how this conversation has come about. Our good friends Base Compression have dropped a bundle on the best player at the VAFA, and Andrew Smith said, "Yep, Dave Mirra, he's a cracker. He won it the other week."
I'm not sure if that was last week, the week before that. There's been a few best ons, but no, I'm joking, of course. No, there was a couple of weeks ago. Base Compression, obviously sponsored the footy club and gift a voucher to whoever got best on, and was lucky enough to receive one of them. And actually went and got myself one of the long sleeve skins tops. And a cracking product, really, really good product. So any athletes out there, now that I'm transitioning into my dad bod, yeah, it's for any athletes out there, it's a ripping product. So if you can get your hands on some base compression, by all means, it's probably one of the best tops that I've worn, to be honest. It's really, really good. So thank you to Smithy out there who sponsors the footy club. So yeah, much appreciated.
There we go.
But also, mate, yeah, saying what I'm doing. So I've got a 17-month-year-old, and I've got a 17-month-year-old. I've got a 17-month-old, and I've got another one coming in October. So 2 boys, and the boys say they're going to be father-son to Box Hill Hawks. So that's a ripper.
Brilliant.
Hopefully they don't have to go through 7 or 8 years of hard work to get to AFL level. But yeah, look, it's really exciting times, and looking forward to that. Rachel, my wife, is now at 29, 30 weeks. So she's struggling to get around and bend over and all that sort of stuff. But she's doing an unbelievable job. So big shout out to Rachel. We'd be lost without her. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, David, you've definitely been one of the more interesting people that we've interviewed. Like I said, certainly one of the your story is bloody inspirational, and I'm so glad we had the privilege of being able to chat to you tonight. And we would love to have you back on again. And it really has been an honour having you on here. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us and the viewers. And good luck with Wesley College and with the Bubs on the way. And thank you so much for joining us, mate.
No, thanks, guys. It's been awesome to have a chat. It's a great show, and I'll be tuning in for future ones. That's for sure. Wish you all the best, and hopefully the Hawks, they've put together a really good month actually. So hopefully we can finish off in style. Send Clarko off in the right way. Like I know before I was saying that case and all that sort of stuff, and loves the spray. But in all seriousness, for what he's done for that football club is absolutely incredible. So hopefully the boys send him off in the right way, and he can finish on a high note. And then obviously get to see these young boys coming through and seeing what they make of the next decade, and hopefully there's a lot more success attached to that as well. So
amen to that. Love it. Excellent. Absolutely. All right, thank you guys for following. If you're not liked and subscribed yet, hit that like and subscribe button for us, and so you can be alerted as to when we have more interviews like the great man David Mirra. Thanks for joining us, and have a good evening, and go Hawks.
Thanks, Dave.